Good evening and welcome to The Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. My name is David White. Today on the program, The Law of the People and Governance, we are going to take a look at the ongoing strike by the resident doctors of Nigeria, the Association of Resident Doctors of Nigeria. Actually, some time ago, they came out on a two-day warning strike, and it could be recalled that Chris Ngige had warned them not to do that as they will impose a no work, no pay policy on them. Well, activities in public hospitals in various parts of the country were paralyzed yesterday as resident doctors began to go on a 5-day warning strike. So away from that, we'll also be taking a look at what is ongoing at the Senate. Of course, it is no longer a news that Nigeria is supposed to come up with a new Senate president. And of course, last week we talked about the issue of zoning, and of course, the fact that people also suggest that it could be left open so interested persons could also come up and allow also members of the Senate to vote who becomes their leader. Well, we'll get to find out your opinion on these issues as we begin. So the first one, we'll take a look at the activities of the resident doctors. Yeah, already I told you they began a 5-day warning strike. Activities in public hospitals in various parts of the country were actually paralyzed starting from yesterday, where the National Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, had given the federal government a May 29 deadline to address their grievances or face a full-blown strike. The warning strike started around 8 a.m. yesterday, May 17th, and would end by 8 a.m. on Monday, May 22nd, following the government's failure to meet the association's demands. And according to reports, some persons who visited the public hospitals across the country yesterday observed that outpatients, who visited some health facilities were not attended to due to the warning strike. Some patients were returning home from the hospital even though skeletal services were still ongoing. And one of the patients told newsmen that he was not aware of the warning strike and that he came to the hospital to see a doctor because he had not been feeling well for days. And also at Asokoro District Hospital in Abuja, doctors on housemanship were attending to patients while emergency cases were referred to consultant. And a former head of clinical services in the hospital, Dr. Chidi, said the hospital would approach the state as at the time some reporters went there and visited the Lagos State University teaching hospitals. A lot of outpatients were given another appointment today. And there was a lady who brought her son, and the son had a severe stomach upset. According to the lady, the son was not attended to. The doctors directed her to the nearest primary health care center. And another person, a nursing mother, said she had returned to the facility to get medical attention for her set of twins, but couldn't do so due to the absence of a doctor to attend to them, and also called on the government to meet the demands of the striking doctors to enable them resume duties. And another person, an aged person, could be seen suffering from toothache. From one of the footages I saw, exclaimed that he had been suffering toothache and had an appointment with a doctor to receive medical attention, but on reaching the hospital of resident doctors, Dr. Emeka Orji and the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors had tackled the federal government for tagging its 5-day warning strike as illegal. And the strike already, I told you, commenced at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, May 17th, and would end on Monday, May 22nd. The national president, Emeka, makes the strike illegal. He said he believed that there is no law that says that a warning strike is illegal. And if they say a warning strike is illegal, let them prove it to them, and they want to see the part of the law that says that warning strike is actually illegal, and indicated that the association had satisfied all the provisions before embarking on a strike. All this, I don't think the doctors would come out and be talking about whether it is NMA or NAD or any other affiliate that should take up this point to the government. Well, these issues are germane, and I think it's high time we talk about it, appeal again that they have an open discussion to sort out this. And according to him, if they call them to discuss and address these issues, he says he believes many of them can be addressed in a matter of days, and there won't be a need for all this crisis that they are having in their healthcare sector. Pending agreement, or the doctors will embark on a nationwide strike. So it didn't just emanate immediately. And among other demands, the resident doctors wanted an immediate increment in the consolidated medical salary structure, that's the CONMES salary structure, to the tune of 200% of the current gross salary of doctors. And the government had described that demand of the doctors as ridiculous. But the NAD president said the 25% increment offered by the government is not sufficient to cater for the needs of doctors in the country. Okay, so there have been calls in recent times and even in the past for a critical look at the health sector here in Nigeria. Things that we feel Nigeria is lagging behind in the health sector. I mean, we have had recent times, I think recently, where a bill was proposed and it had passed second reading, that doctors should not be allowed to, have licenses to operate or even travel out until after 5 years of operating or practicing here in Nigeria. And there had been a ban by the UK that no doctors from Nigeria or those regions that the World Health Organization feels are lagging behind in terms of healthcare services, they shouldn't be employed in way from Nigeria to, other countries. Is search for greener pastures, welfare of staff, welfare of these doctors. And these are the people that are posed to dangers. Like, take for example when the COVID-19 emerged. And these were the people that stood at the forefront. So if there were people that received it directly, people that tomorrow, the president is set to, commission, healthcare facility of a great standard in the one of the wings of the presidential villa in Abuja. And then he says that is meant to cater for the health of the president, whoever is going to be sworn in, meant to cater for him, his immediate family, and the VIPs that will be welcomed there. And this is happening just a few days, I think 3 days after the president returned into the country from a medical checkup. I think he had a dental checkup in London. And then he's coming back at the end of his administration to commission such a big project. Yes, a big project, and he feels that place is going to cut up. And then one question has been moving in my mind. I mean, why is this thing coming at this time? Why didn't the president put such a thing in place? The groundbreaking was done sometime 2021. Why didn't he put things in place to make sure that, they fast track the building, of the healthcare facility in order to also help him and his immediate family members to be treated there as well? And what's the guarantee that the incoming administration would say, there's such a place, such a facility, let's stay here, not travel out for medical appointments? So I think the welfare of these doctors is one of the things that we have been discussing and talking about in recent times. So if the doctors are, let's say the bill is finally passed into law, if possible. I know that, and even the Nigeria Labour Congress, there have been calls to, abolish such laws that they have to practice for 5 years before being given license. And if such a thing ever comes to stay, what is the hope of doctors? We've also had cries from different doctors that, come on, there are doctors in the country who knows what to do, who are ready to do the job, but are not gainfully employed, and are not, the ones that are employed are not well paid. So these are the issues we're going to talk about. And away from that, we'll take a look at what is happening in the Senate. Well, in the Senate, a former governor of Zamfara State and senator-elect for Zamfara West, Abdulaziz Abubakar Yari, yesterday in Abuja declared that he was in the of reactions have been fairly in recent times. He stated that, this is what he intends to do. And the program held for senators and members-elect for the 10th National Assembly at International Conference Center just yesterday. When he was talking, he said his aspiration was not an affront against the APC, and maintained that he was in the race as provided by Section 50, subsection 2 of the 99th Constitution, and his aspiration for the presidency of the 10th Senate is covered by relevant provisions of the 1999 Constitution, which to him is superior to any other law or arrangement. There have been reactions concerning I remember on the show we asked some questions. What do we see when looking at the body language of the president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Because before now, it looked like all odds were going to favor Senator Godswill Akpabio, as he had more votes, from lots of senators. But things are beginning. One candidate from different zones who desire the seat. Of course, there is no presidency that should be forced on anybody, should be open, because such a responsibility needs to saddle upon the shoulders of a responsible person as well. Group loyal to the governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawale, under the aegis of the National Defense Coalition of the All Progressives Congress, had described as untrue claims by 10th House of Representative Speakership aspirant Aminu Sani Jaji that he made the victory of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu possible in the state. Then he should zone the Senate presidency to here because he got so many votes here, and this person never did well, so it shouldn't go to this side. And then it looks like the South is totally being sidelined in the whole process, which is so unfair. If the administration has to be all-inclusive, then nobody should be left behind. All right, we'll go on a short break. When we come right back, we bring our guest on and we talk about this issue properly. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
day, will bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
fellow Nigerians, remain committed.
Security.
Every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
All right, welcome back to the program, The Law, the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. Well, feel free to be a part of the conversation as we talk first about the ongoing strike, 5-day warning strike that has already started since yesterday by the resident doctors, the Association of Resident Doctors here in Nigeria in different states. So it's something that calls for a great concern, even here in Akpabio State. Right now on standby, we have Barrister Martin Zukwe, human rights lawyer and a political analyst who is here to talk to us concerning this issue. Good evening and welcome to the show, Martins. Okay, so without wasting much time, the Association of Resident Doctors here in Nigeria, and it hasn't been a new thing, and it doesn't seem to me like something that is going to stop anyway, because as many times as these people have presented their needs to the government, I think the government have not been able to meet their needs by making them to always embark on strike. And this time around, the Nigeria Labour Congress is coming out to say, look, this warning strike that you people are going is illegal. What do you think about it?
Yeah, let me start with this by saying that I do not think there is any strike that is illegal in this country, in as much as what democracy is concerned. Because even when the NLC itself is saying that the strike called upon by NAT and the resident doctors body is illegal, we have seen the NLC and other unions in this country calling for strike, and we have seen the federal government coming out to declare such action illegal. For me, I think the most democratic way of expressing satisfaction by the way of service is through such a means, which is one of those means is strike. For me, I think the government should look at the demands of the Resident Doctors Association. They should look at it critically and see how to, because already NASA said that they're always open to negotiation. Yes, they're always open to negotiation. And already before the strike being called upon, they're already giving a 2 weeks ultimatum to the federal government to resolve this issue. Meetings, that was an opportunity for the federal government, Dr. Chris Ngige, talking about this issue. Though he wasn't actually hitting the nail on the head, he was deviating from the main issue. He was talking about the bill that has been sponsored at the National Assembly, which is talking about the compulsory 5 years
practice,
work in
yes.
Nigeria before doctors, which the one that was given 18th of May. They have paid this, and of course the body has a legitimate right to declare this strike. So for me, I do not share the sentiment of the Nigerian Labour Congress, which have called this strike as illegal and the federal government.
Okay, I mean, for the government to describe the needs and demands of the doctors ridiculous, one is asking, what is ridiculous about the doctors coming out to say that the 25% that the federal government had proposed to them is not...
It's different. Now, their salary structure is, the structure is unmet. Now, what is the demand they're talking about? The demand is that simply demanding immediate increment in the consolidated medical salary structure to the tune of 200% of the current gross salary of doctors. And of course, the new allowances, including the review of the present unmet structure. So, of course, for me, even when it seems ridiculous, the 200%, yeah, for me, I agree, somehow it's ridiculous. But then you just have to call the people to a table around for negotiation. Of course, there is room for shifting of grounds. Yes, maybe the body just scratching the back of the federal government. See the reaction of the federal government. Of course, I know why they are raising this, and they want to raise the review structure to 200% because they are trying to measure up with their colleagues in the Western climb and in the station and review. And of course, the two parties will have to shift down because here we are talking about a very critical aspect of the Nigerian economy. Now, the medical is very critical. It has to deal with human life. As the resident doctors are on strike now, you can only imagine the level of mortality rate that we are going to experience within these few hours, or should I call, I don't know, let me just take a few hours, because I so much believe that the NAT will have to review that decision.
And then the doctors were on strike, and all of a sudden we had an emergency pandemic like the COVID-19. What would have happened? I mean, these are the people that put their lives first in the forefront. Sometimes I think we need to consider the welfare of doctors as number one. The healthcare already, the healthcare sector, the health sector of Nigeria is already something that I think is what I say is on alert, is alarming rate that there is a problem. This sector needs to be nurtured, it needs to be looked into properly. And I don't think that has been done. Away from that, because of time, let me talk about the commissioning that is going to happen tomorrow in Abuja, where the president is going to, of course, commission the healthcare wing, right? Health facility that has been set up to a very good standard, according to reports, that will take care of the, I would say, well-being of the president-elect, his immediate family, and VIPs, whoever is going to come for medical attention there. And this is coming when the president is already on his way out. Don't you think that this would have been in place when the president was in the country, so that he will be part of what he says is a legacy structure? He will be part of a beneficiary of the legacy structure that he's leaving behind.
Already he has named it legacy structure. So, going by the word legacy, he wants to bequeath something befitting to the Nigerian health sector. For me, President Buhari, I really commend him for this monumental stride. Of course, it is. Now, he is not leaving the country. Leaving Aso Rock, he is only retiring from the presidential villa. Of course, I feel Mr. President will still be a major beneficiary of this legacy spread, which he has put on ground. But of course, I also want to talk about this. It's not about the structure. It's about the equipment. It's about equipping the structure to standard. When we have a structure in place and we do not have the needed facilities, it is not well facilitated. Vacuum, of course. So it's a tripartite thing. So you have the structure. You need to have a human capacity, the workforce that man the structure. You also need to have this basic and of course quality equipment in that structure. So I want to believe that in our best practices standard, because there is a basic minimum. If it does not meet the basic minimum, then it is a failure on the part of the president to have even built this structure.
You know, for the president who has always gone out for medical attention, medical checkups, I think we can't count the number of times he has gone out for that. I don't think that he would do less coming to leave a legacy structure before he in the Senate. Before then, I'd like to call on the people that this is time for them to join us, join the conversation. You can send us a WhatsApp or a text message. We will attend to you. What do you think about the legacy structure that the president is leaving behind? Of course, like our guest has said, Nigerians working there and not import people outside the country to work there as well. So a quick one, let's now run to the Senate. We have just 15 minutes before we wrap up the show. Barrister.
I'm with you, Rachel.
Okay, so before now, Senator Godswill Akpabio had been one of the, I would say, candidates on the A-list, number one, that even some people predicted that the president-elect would go for Godswill Akpabio, Senator Godswill Akpabio. And already Godswill Akpabio has predicted that the numbers of his supporters in the Senate would increase to 85 or 86 by the time of the election in June. You know, he's the anointed candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the Senate presidency. Yes. And he had said that 69 out of 109 senators-elect have endorsed him for the seat, and predicted that maybe by next month, the numbers of his supporters in the Senate would increase to 85 or 86. And there had been calls for the seat to be thrown open, not just attaching candidates to each zones, okay, attaching candidates like we saw before. It should be left open so that if we have someone from the South, other than Senator Godswill Akpabio, the person could come out to, you know, also show interest, and let it be a choice of the people and not imposed on the people. What do you think about this, and what do you think about Senator Godswill Akpabio also?
Well, speaking from personal view, I have listened to the governor of Ebonyi State, His Excellency Governor David Umahi, spoke this morning about this same issue. I think I want to buy the idea of the governor of Ebonyi State. He said that this whole stuff is a media war. That actually there is no problem with the rank of the senators elect. That also Akpabio. So going by that, if it is only a media war, maybe the whole war is being carried by the media, then I think it's just a media charade to really allow to be report on this particular issue. For me, like I said earlier and the other day, that zoning should be based on equity and justice. But since it has to be, since it's a party affair, the party have decided, they said this is who wants. And if the senators are very independent, they have the right to say, no, we are not going to follow the part of, even the Labour Party is saying we are going to support, even the People's Democratic Party is saying we are going to support the anointed candidate of the APC. Then I do not think it should be made a general warfare, because it has to do with just 109 elected senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I will want, after what the whole country is going to do, it has to do with only 109 people who have been elected to the Senate chambers. And these are the deciding factors of who becomes the Senate president for the next 4 years.
Okay, talking about Dave Umahi, I know that he had made a comment that he has backed out. Of course, he can't oppose whatever the president-elect says, and if the president-elect says it's zoning to South, and so be it, and he has no reason to oppose, which is a good move. But let's talk about the credibility, because this is a position that should sit upon the shoulders of a person that is credible enough, and of course someone that has well fit for this position. This is a very critical position in the country.
Please, your question again.
Okay, so I said, talking about Dave Umahi, who had said that he has backed out of the race. Away from that, this is a position, a critical position, a position that is very vital and important, of course, in the country and to the citizens of the country as well. So, taking a look at the person of Senator Godswill Akpabio, and a check from his background, political background, do you think
I can speak much about his political background, since he was appointed a commissioner in 2002. He was later moved to the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs till he resigned as a commissioner in 2006 to contest for the ticket of the People's Democratic Party gubernatorial elections, and won the ticket. He became a governor in 2007, won a re-election in 2011, and successfully handed over in 2015 to the incumbent governor. Of course, he won election to the Senate in 2015 and represented my senatorial district till 2019 when he contested again for re-election to the Senate but lost to the incumbent senator. And upon his return, he won with massive votes. So, and it's not just about winning elections. Looking at his developmental strides, he has done so very much. As a governor, I think he was rated as the most performing governor in Nigeria as at that time, within 2007 to 2015. So there is no doubt that if Senator Akpabio is given the opportunity to be the lawmaking, and of course, in the National Assembly, there will be a far-reaching effect that will be felt in the National Assembly. Of course, people-oriented bills will be passed. And of course, it's going to make sure that there is checks and balances between the executive and, of course, the legislature. So I believe in the capacity of Senator Akpabio to deliver. Thank you very much.
Don't you think that the South is a little bit excluded from maybe a lot of things in the incoming administration?
Like I said, the zoning of this office has to do with a party affair. The party, it's basically a party affair. So nobody has any hand whatsoever. If the party says we are going to South-South, the South-East do not have anything to say here. If the party say we are going to South-East, nobody also has anything. Not even the South-South would say, no, it must come to my zone. So now that the party has said we are going to South-South for the Senate presidency, I think the party must have checked their self side by side. They must have been satisfied with the particulars before they decide to zone the office of the Senate president to South-South. So not even the South-East have what it takes to come and rival with this position. Of course, they have given their reasons for zoning it to the South-Side. Like I said while I was with you on Monday, I said that I was my only fear and my only concerns was just about the name plaque. But if the party finds it, if they deem it fit to say, okay, we are zoning it to South-Side, but even in South-Side, we have somebody that is zoning it to. I do not have any problem there because, well, it's politics. So, you know, in democracy, anything comes.
So what if another person had interest?
What do you say?
What if there was another interest?
Well, even as it stands now, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and even the Senate standing rules, particularly Section 50 of the Constitution, it talks about the issue. Now, the Constitution 3 of the Senate standing rules, sub 1, 2, and 3, talks about the qualification. So if someone who has been elected into the Senate is qualified, it also talked about ranking. Order 3 talked about ranking. Now, who is the ranking member? What's the criteria for the ranking? First, the number of times you have been elected into the Senate. 2, if you have been elected into the for the first time or more than a time, or even if the Federal House of Representatives has the right to contest. Even if you have this is your first time of going to the Senate, you still have that qualification to contest. So nobody has the right to be stopped from contesting for the office of the Senate president. Like I said, this is purely a party family affair. If the APC have decided to say, okay, we are going to South-Side this time, and in the South-Side we already have a preferred personality, then of course Nigerians and every other person should be okay, except the 109 senators that have been elected. If the 109 senators that have been elected say, no, we are not going to agree with the position of the party, then they have every right to go the other way around. But for now, since it has to do with the party affair, it is only the 109 senators that have the right to say, no, we are not going that way.
Of course, you know, there are aggrieved persons, even from the APC. I know it's a party affair, and they have told Tinubu that imposition of the 10th Senate, right, is not constitutional. And you've explained as well. So don't you think that this may actually bring fracas and maybe internal party crisis? Let's take a look at the case of Bukola Saraki.
Yes, there is every possibility that this will brew. Now, the Constitution does not stop anybody from contesting. Yesterday, I watched the former governor of Zamfara State, Senator Yari, bearing his mind that he will be the next Senate president.
Yeah, he said he's not ready to back out of the race.
The party. So if that be the case, they have the right to contest. But at the end of the day, it has to do with the vote of 109 senators, which will certainly happen upon the proclamation of the Senate on the 13th day of June 2023. So no, there is no way that anybody can stop Senator Ojuzakalo or Senator Yari from contesting for the office of the Senate president. It all depends on how many senators are willing to allow them to lead them to the 10th Senate.
All right, thank you so much.
Now, I wish Senator Yari, I wish Senator Ojuzakalo the very best in this contest.
Okay, I think you ended well. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Rachel.
Okay, that was the voice of Martins Ukwe, a human rights lawyer and a political analyst. At this point, this is where we close the curtains for this week on the program. The Law of the People and Governance will come your way again next week. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTv.ng. And you can also watch this program on YouTube if